Hello everyone, Pillars TCG here, and today I'm bringing you a faction overview of the Azar faction in Pillars. So, Azar is the faction of fire in the game, located in the mountains, and it's kind of a more aggro-destructive faction and deck to play. So, these are some cards from the current test deck to test the faction as well as new game mechanics, just to kind of show you guys how it plays. So the faction is all about powering up your own cards even at the cost of destroying others. So for example, one of these would be this Mountain Dragon card. It has mediocre stats in 1600, 1200, pretty good archetype in Dragon, but the key that makes it good is its ability Rampage, where you destroy one of your Azar units, which is this symbol here, the dragon, which allows this card to attack twice this turn, which can be detrimental, and usually, even though it's only at 1600, it allows one of your attacks to slip through and destroy one of your opponent's pillars, putting you at a very good advantage. So this can be paired with a lot of things. So for example, the Novice Flame Mage that I showed you earlier, which is the first card in the game really. And when you play this card to your battlefield, you can turn one Azar unit from the discard to your hand. So by doing this, you're able to destroy your Azar units but still get them back using so you destroy them using the Mountain Dragon and then use Novice Flame Mage to get them back. However, this faction also has other things to boost that. For example, the Burning Skull card, which simply says when this card is destroyed, you draw a card, which might end up being too powerful of an effect, we'll see, just due to the fact that, you see, 400, 500 is not a strong stat line by any means. There are a couple of issues on the formatting comparing these two cards, but it is a test deck, and you'll see. So you get to draw a card when it's destroyed, and then you can bring it back with your Novice Flame Mage to get the effect again. It even does not say by battle, it is just when it is destroyed. So cards like Mountain Dragon, when they destroy your Burning Skull, will still allow you to draw a card, and then you bring them back with your Novice Flame Mage, which just is a neat trick. There's also a card, not currently in the test deck as there's no art for it, but there is a card in the game known as Desperate Measures, in which you destroy a unit on your field and you draw 3 cards from it. I believe it is an Azar unit, but I cannot quite remember. However, if you choose to use that card on your Burning Skull, you draw 4 cards instead of the 3 due to his effect, which is pretty nice to give you a boost. However, controlling your field and trying to have all 4 slots filled up as much as possible is a giant part of this game. Azar is also a lot about power. So this is a current placeholder art, as it probably will be colored differently, but the Pillar of Sparks, you give one Azar unit on your field 300 power once you play this pillar. So whenever you boost up your pillar, it's a one-time ability, but it gives the 300 more power. So your cards, like your Mountain Dragon here, would be getting that boost up to 1900, which is enough to plow through the defenses of most non-defensive units currently in the game, which is a very nice effect. They usually would have to be pretty high leveled and pretty defensive to stop a 1900. However, that effect can only be used once, but that still gives you more incentive to just level up this pillar again to get a different effect, as the stat boost would still stay. Some other current Azar cards in these test decks are just things like Burning Spider, which, as you can see, is... oh, that is not Burning Spider. Burning Spider has that boost to its attack, so it's just a very strong and powerful unit. You simply just play it, and then try to bust through your opponent with its extremely high power, and it doesn't have any abilities, but it's just a solid level 3. However, you'll see it does have low defense. So it is going to be hard to try to keep this on the field when blocking. Fire Serpent is just another card. This one does need to be nerfed in the test deck to have probably less defense here, but there also are abilities like Intimidate, where they must be blocked by 2 or more opposing units. In testing, I've noticed having an 1800, even though this card cannot block, 1800 is so high it will rip through anything that is not a defensive deck, so it will need to be knocked down, but Intimidate is still a very good ability for this extremely aggro deck. So definitely a nice little card to have in there with Fire Serpent there, especially because it is only a level 2. So even after the nerf, you'll be able to do heavy damage with your level 2s while you wait to get your cards like your Mountain Dragon out. Or even if it's your strategy to just try to get all 4 of these on your field, and then your opponent really can't do anything to stop you, as even with a major nerf to their power, they'll mostly be blocked by level 1s, which will not survive a hit like this, as deploying level 1s to try to block is pretty common in the game. Now the final card here is Collapse, which is the only tactic currently with art. I have mentioned things like Desperate Measures before, but Collapse is very interesting. It is the only board wipe card in the game currently, and probably will be the only board wipe card in set 1. So with Collapse, you destroy one of your pillars to destroy all units on the field as a strategy, so it can only be played on your turn. In playtesting, I've experimented using it as an ambush, but that's just way too good. So while it is a board wipe card, there is Summoning Sickness, as you were saying, Magic the Gathering in this game, so you cannot attack on the first turn you play a unit. So it's very nice to be able to play this Collapse card on your turn once your opponent gets the upper hand. Say they are running an Azar deck and they have their Mountain Dragons and their Fire Serpents out, and they're so aggro you can't stop them. This is one of the few cards in the game that's less few cards in Azar, where you're able to just wipe the board and get a clean slate and kind of control the game a bit more. However, I know board wipe cards in games usually get banned or are just not fun to use because of how ridiculously powerful they are. However, remember in Pillars, you only have 4 pillars, and when they are all destroyed, you lose. So, it is very nice to be able to just play this card to wipe off the board, but then you lose one of your pillars, which makes you lose both a slot where you can play cards like Pillar of Sparks to gain more abilities, and if you are running a 2-faction or more deck, you lose a slot to be able to play that faction. So say you were running an Azar Dallas deck, Dallas being the water deck, and you use your Collapse card, and then your Dallas pillar gets destroyed and you already have leveled up your base pillars, you will not be able to block, you'll not be able to play another Dallas pillar to play those other Dallas units and tactic cards in your hand. So that is an interesting tidbit. In decks with Collapse, I would personally recommend running Mercenaries over another faction, but it probably being the only board wipe card in set 1 might persuade some people to run it in their decks just to be able to play that board wipe. So anyways, that is currently all I have for a faction profile of the Azar faction. I hope that everyone enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you are new, and be sure to leave a like. There will be videos coming every single Monday, as there have been. If there anything you would like to see from me, such as different reviews or podcast topics, please leave them in the comments below. And also which faction you'd like to see an overview of next. There is water factions. There's the water faction, the forest faction, the desert faction, the death faction, and the mercenaries that I can all do after I've done this Azar faction. So yeah, I hope that everyone did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video.